Sorting with that guy right there, right there. It's Kevin A. What?
It's
Right,
like, was that a little bit of Wayne's World-ish?
Whoa!
Yeah, there it is. There it is. Hey, everybody. Hey, welcome back. You thought we forgot. You thought we forgot. We didn't.
No, they knew it. So Kevin, before we get started, are you enjoying having it air on Saturday morning or no?
I'm loving it.
And loving it. I'm glad Kevin's happy about that, folks.
I'm happy about it. So, hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Forever Sorting. I'm still, from last week, I'm still working on this truck.
Hasn't stopped.
I haven't stopped. I have not stopped. But before I get into it, let me get our intro out of the way for Reed.
Oh yeah, definitely need to do that for Reed.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Kevin Hinkle. If you have any interest in following me outside of this wonderful program, you can find me online at kevinahinkle.com or on social media at Mr. Kevin Hinkle. If you like to follow just my artwork as a freelance artist, you can find me on social media at Mr. Hinkle Draws. I have a comic series I make. I would appreciate you following me at BITM Comics to see some of that cool action where we talk about Lego fans. Also, bricksandmill.com. And I make really cool Lego-inspired T-shirts.
Do you?
I do indeed. They can be found at bricksonthedollar.com. And as always, I appreciate you guys following me, joining me online across social media, and supporting my artwork. It is greatly appreciated. Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody.
Hey, it's good to see you, Erica.
Good to be seen.
Yeah.
I can't believe I've been working on this for a whole week.
You didn't change the shirt either.
I didn't change my shirt. Hey, now that I did that, I'm gonna angle it down. So you guys can see what we've done.
Oh.
What I've done over the course of a week is this.
There you go. Yeah. They put it in one set and it shows up in all of them.
Ooh, it's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
But this little like pneumatic part was the crucial element to my favorite play feature in a Lego set ever as a child.
What's that?
Which was gold. No, I'm sorry. Woo, I almost messed that up. Sheriff's Lockup in the Western set, where you put a 1x2 dynamite light gray tile into the little like jail cell. You slide it in, and it activates this thing, which jettisons the wall of the jail.
Nice.
And you blow it up, and you get the other guy out. That was as a kid. I can't tell you how many times I love playing with that. That was so fun.
So you were always the cowboy, huh?
Yeah.
When you play Cowboys and Indians as a child?
Yeah, I'm not the bad guy. I never play the bad guys.
Wait, whoa. How culturally insensitive of you.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's very true. Very, very true.
Oh, no. I like to play the Indian.
Yeah.
Yeah. My buddies would play a cowboy.
Do you have an Indian name?
I don't. Did you have a cowboy name?
I did not. That's a draw. That there is a draw.
I'm sorry for calling you culturally insensitive.
It's all right. It's okay. In my brain, I was actually thinking Cowboys and Bandits is what I was thinking. Actually.
Oh yeah, Bandits I never did. No, we never played that.
Just because
that's cops and robbers.
Well, but in the sets, when I was still in the thinking
set,
like that whole first wave was the Cowboys and the Bandits, and then they introduced the Native Americans in like the second wave.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
I didn't like those sets as much because they were too peaceful for me. Like I like the whole like good versus evil play mechanic.
Yeah.
And then in the second wave, it was all like peaceful Indians with like teepees and canoes, and I was like, all right, where's the snakes? That's not enough. I need more than snakes.
Snakes don't scare me.
I mean, give me something a little more than that. Yeah. But hey, how you doing?
How are you doing? I'm all right.
Are we recovered from that deep episode last time?
Never. No.
Never.
No, it takes
I
me
mean,
months to get over these episodes.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it was rough. That time in my life
Yeah.
at Lego was really hard on me. And like I said, I really was. I've never been that stressed in my life.
So can we get an age check on that same time?
How old was I?
2012, yeah.
Let's see. What's 1980? Or what 2012 minus 1985?
How about we just subtract 7 years from right now?
I mean, we could do that too. Let me use my calculator because I'm a math major.
Yeah, you are.
27.
Good grief. Good grief.
27-year-old in charge of 2 continents.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you work. That's a bit much.
I was so stressed. I actually go back, guys. Look at my old photographs. I started losing a lot of weight. I started losing a lot of my hair, and I was freaking out like almost on a daily basis. It was so incredibly difficult for me to keep up with my workload, and my workload seemed to exponentially grow every single day.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, wow. And here's the thing.
Go ahead.
I kept voicing my concerns. Like, I didn't stay quiet. So for me, that is so incredibly important, is that I voiced my concerns with Tormid, who was my acting boss, because we had no boss. Jim was in charge of all, he was in charge of me and Kim and Yan. He was the senior manager for the community team. And he was let go. They didn't backfill the role. So we had no boss. Tormid became our interim manager. Tormid was a director of the entire department. So you know how much time he had to be an interim manager? 0.
None.
So we had no boss. We were basically, bossless. And I never had any chance to speak with him. I asked all the time, said, hey, can we have a meeting or can we have a one-to-one? Nope, always too busy. Never had a chance to talk to me. So I never had anybody to bounce. I really started to take for granted all that time I had with Jim, where I was like, hey, what would you do in this situation? Or how would you answer that? That was so critical for me to get more comfortable in my role. Yeah. And now I'm 100% on my own. Anytime I'm uncertain about how to answer a question, I have literally no one to ask. And so I had to wing it and just use my best judgment, use what I knew. And it worked out most of the time. There was some times that it didn't, and I heard about it, and other people heard about it, and that's just how it was. But I voiced my concerns, and the little brief moments that I actually got to speak with Tormid and express myself, he gave very unhelpful, demotivating suggestions. And so I'd be like, hey, my workload is too heavy. And he'd be like, well, don't work as hard. I'm like, that's nonsensical. Hey, I need help with, this, I'm having too many emails to answer. He'd be like, well, then just don't answer them. I'm like, that's nonsensical. The answers I would get were laughable.
So can we reach out to Tormid and get him on the show?
So I've mentioned this. In private to people. I've never mentioned it on air, but hey, when in Rome. Honestly, at this point in my life, even with multiple years worth of reflection, and knowing what I know and life experiences, I honestly would be fine never speaking to him again. And I don't say that lightly. I do not say that lightly.
No, I know you don't.
But I would be just fine never speaking with him again. But so there in particular, I remember, I want to say this is now April. So April of 2012. One of the other plethora of things I had inherited was I was now a point of contact for the Lego certified professionals in North America. So that was something else that Jim had been doing that I didn't realize. So it's like, oh, great. So now I'm the guy that all the LCPs would talk to. And the LCPs for North America would be, at that time, Adam Reed Tucker in Chicago, Beth Wise in Chicago, Nathan Sawaya in New York and LA. He has a studio in both locations. Sean Kinney in New York, Robin Sather in Vancouver, think that's it. I think it's all of them. So I became the point of contact for them, and I'm like, great. You know what I needed? Another thing to do. And so, I mean, like, it's just, I can't. Like, I'm responsible for every Lego user group ambassador across 2 continents, which is 130 people. I am the point of contact for all the conventions across both continents, which is
a lot now.
I think.
How bad was it then?
Back then, it wasn't insane as it is now.
It's insane now.
But it was a lot.
Kevin, I feel sorry for the person that replaced you.
Don't be. So
why not, Kevin?
Well, so moving on. So I mean, it was a lot to do. It was a lot of people to talk to, and you got right. We're all fans, right? We're all Lego fans. You think Lego fans are like timid and quiet and don't speak up and like let you know when they're upset about something? Or
come on, man.
Like, I mean, every day.
Yeah.
I'd wake up to an onslaught of like, I remember, I have vivid memories of going, I dread looking at my phone to see how many unread emails I have from last night on it. And I would open up my phone and be like, oh, only 75 today. Great. I'll just chew my way through that. People were not very, they were not very patient.
Really?
So if I got an email and I did not respond, usually within 3 days, I would get a follow-up email to make sure I got the first email. That was usually a common practice. Was just wanted to, sorry, I know you're busy, but I just wanted to check in and make sure you got my email. And my answers over the years got progressively more snippy. And I'd be like, I remember at one point, I was just not having it one day. And no, it wasn't a very professional response. And I do regret it a little bit. But I replied with, yep, you'll be lucky to know my email has been in perfect working order since I received it in 2007, and it still works today. I got your email. Thank you. That was like my response to, did I get the first one and why have I not responded yet? Shame on me indeed. And like I said, he didn't deserve it, but I was having a day. So
you
does yeah, still talk to him.
Did you ever apologize?
I don't think so, but you know.
You need to make amends right now.
No, we talk. It's fine. It's fine. Did I mess up something? Oh no. I think I have there's a couple parts here that I think are a little too big to be extra, but maybe I'm wrong. I got it's just these. These are the ones that make me go, did I mess up? These parts right here.
You might have.
It's a red 1x1 clip, a 1x2 dark gray jumper, and this inverted slope baby bow. Those seem like
it's the jumper that's got me locked in. I think you missed the jumper. I think the rest of it just whatever. Actually,
yeah, might be. So yeah,
I'm listening.
But so yeah, that was my life, and like I said, it is a little weird going back and looking at the photos. I was still traveling. I was going to all the events. I'll move the camera up now. I'm done building this. So I was going to all the events. That would be move camera. That would be Brick World in Chicago, Brick Fair in Alabama, Brick Fair in New England, Brick Fair in Virginia, Brick.
Yeah, what year did you go to that one?
Let me do a fact check real quick. Move all this aside.
Your camera's crooked, it looks like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, is that better?
That makes better, yeah. It looked like you were about to slide off the side of the building.
And slide. So, so that year, actually, so 2012.
Yeah.
Closer towards the end of the year, I want to say, we had an interesting thing occur in which we finally got a team camera. So we got a team camera. Remember I mentioned the team camera thing?
Yeah.
So we got a team camera, and the way we got it was another head scratcher. It's another one of those interesting. So me and my fellow community reps, we were dissatisfied. So we were dissatisfied.
Where are you now?
And again, at this time, that's me and Yan. Yan is spelled J-N. A lot of people think it's Jan. It is Yan. and Kim. And Kim and Yan shared responsibilities jointly, kind of like what me and Jim used to do. They shared responsibilities for the rest of the world. So they were responsible for Africa, Europe, Asia, and Australia, both of them. And I was responsible by myself for North, Central, and South America.
I got you.
And there was always kind of this, a little bit of this war of who's got the bigger workload. That was always, I mean, I'm being dead honest. That's what happened.
Yeah.
We were like, well, who's got the best? And I would always come back, well, you got two of you. Like I'd always like, that was my default, like always. But we were dissatisfied one year because we felt as community reps had collectively put in a ridiculous amount of time and effort and work into our jobs. And lug bulk, right? We all know lug bulk.
Never heard of it.
Lug bulk, which for the very quick and dirty answer is a bulk buying program offered only to recognized LEGO user groups in which they can purchase LEGO elements in bulk for a discount directly from the LEGO group one time per year. That program was something that we ran in our team, not even the department. Our team ran that.
Oh, okay.
And that took a lot of time by itself just to do that. And the program itself had generated millions of dollars for the department. And we were like wanting to repurpose that money that we had made into the team. Like, hey, can we use the money that we made through the Lug Bulk program to maybe get us more resources, like more sets for the community, or maybe actually, hey, maybe we can print something out for the fans. They always want us to make stuff for them. Like maybe we can print out special catalogs or magazines they can hand out at their shows. Like our heads were just spinning with ideas because we're like, wow, we made a lot of money.
Yeah.
The department and the glorious leader of the department decided, no, I'm going to use every single dollar that you guys earn, and I'm going to give it all to the Lego Rebrick website.
Huh.
We were dissatisfied. So Rebrick does not exist anymore. Rebrick was, again, another one of these things that our department started, ran for a little bit, kind of fizzled, went away. Rebrick was a website that Lego launched kind of to curate really inspirational, cool fan-made content on the internet. So like kind of like an Instagram, but Lego only, and Lego owns it, and it's on a website. So you could like pin.
Fun.
Yeah, you could pin content that you thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I found this really cool mock on Brickshelf. Pin. I found this really cool mock on Flickr. Pin. Oh, check out all the things I've pinned on my Rebrick account. It's kind of like it's serving a need that's not there.
Got it.
Because there's other things that already serve it. But they were really, really adamant to get this thing off the ground and really like do it right and make great graphics and user experience. All that stuff costs a lot of money. And so they said, you know what? We're going to take all the money you guys made as community reps for the team. We're going to take all that money and we're going to make a Rebrick even better. And so all of us protested heavily. And those moments in my time, I ended up bonding quite a bit with Yan and Kim because I felt like the three of us just like, I'm going to, hey, little kids, earmuffs. We did a lot of shit. All right. We did a lot of shit. And we had to deal with a lot of people's shit. And like the three of us, I mean, it was the three of us versus the world.
Yeah.
And we just like, I feel like we weren't very squeaky often. Like we weren't like the guys banging on the table going, I want a better interface for my website. Like we weren't those people.
Right.
We knew where we were and we were happy to get the crumbs when they were left. But so every now and then we thought we deserved, i.e. the community deserved something better.
Sure.
And so we would voice those. And so this was one of those times where let's all work together and voice it. I ended up bonding with those two guys over these little battles over the years, where we'd be like, all right, time to unify all community reps of the world, engage. And so we said we felt like we deserved to use some of that money because we made it all. You know, that's what we thought. We lost. We lost that fight. As a consolation prize, the director allowed us to use money for us each to buy a camera.
Oh,
So we were like, hey, could we have, I don't even remember what we proposed. We are like, could we have $25,000 out of the money out of the millions of dollars we made to like have new inventory or new marketing material to hand out or whatever. It was always for the fans, always.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, no, we're going to use it all for this website that's eventually going to fizzle out. No one's going to use anyway. But you can buy a nice camera.
Oh, wow.
So did we do it? We did. Because why? I mean, if that's all you're going to get, then you're going to take it. But so each of us, one in Billund, one in the US, we bought a very nice camera, a high quality camera that we could take around and take pictures of all the shows that we went to. So whatever. Yeah. We were still salty as none other about it. But we had a camera. Yeah. So from when I had the camera, that is when my photographic documentation of shows began. Yeah. And so that's why you start seeing in my Flickr album of all places.
Where?
Flickr.
What's that?
I know. Some of the shows I started going to. So you have this one like Brick Magic 2012 in Raleigh, North Carolina. And that was, I want to say, my first show 100% on my own. Of course, it was on my own because training is done, but on my own because I'm now the one guy for this side of the world. So I went and did that show. But so in 2012, I went to that show, Brick Magic. Brick Magic no longer exists. There is no Brick Magic show. But I also went to Brick's Cascade, which is in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
And then I went to all the other staples. So the Brick World Chicago, Brick Fair Virginia, Brick Fair Alabama, Brick Fair New England. At that point, New England had started, I believe. Right. Or it might have been the next year. Maybe 2013 is the first New England. Okay. So New England's not there yet. Brick Fete, which is in Toronto, also doesn't exist anymore. But Fete French for party, Brick Party. Went to that. I went to BrickCon in Seattle. Might have been it at that time. So we're talking about maybe like six to eight shows.
So before you go on, Kevin, I have a question about we need to flash forward to present day Kevin.
All right, today.
Yeah, you've seen hashtag all the shows.
Yeah.
What causes them to fail or not be around anymore? Well, it fails so harsh.
Yeah.
Not be around anymore.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think all the ones I've seen fail have failed for the exact same reason.
Okay.
Which is the person who's running it loses interest or gets overwhelmed or gets angry. Oh. So that's it. That's always it. Okay. It's the person who's running it gets so flustered or upset or has a life change or whatever, but that person pulls out and says, I'm not doing it anymore. And then the show doesn't happen. Well, what else is interesting is normally those shows have a very established following.
Yeah.
And a fan base that goes to them every single year. And again, unless I'm mistaken, all of the ones that have flopped, the people that have gone to that show have offered to the person that used to run it, we'll take it over if you allow us. Mm-hmm. And it's always a no. And then in place of it, another show is always born. Sure. So if I look at like the original Brickfest was in Portland. Brickfest stopped being in Portland. The people in Portland said, let us do a show and we'll use your brand, we'll use your name, but we'll keep it going. Sure. They were told no. Now we have Brick's Cascade. Brickfest in Virginia happened. Then it didn't. And then Todd goes, let me use your brand, let me use your name, and I'll keep the show going. Was told no. Now we have Brick Fair. Brick Magic was in North Carolina. Wanted to happen. Stopped happening. Grayson was like, man, I really would like a show here. Can maybe I keep doing Brick Magic? No, fine. Brick Universe now happens.
I got you.
Brick Fete, same thing. Brick Fete stopped, hasn't been around for a couple of years in Toronto. The fans in the area had gone year over year, and they've said, hey, if you give us the name and the brand, we'll keep the show going. They were told no. Brick's in the six. Okay. It's like it never changes. It's the same story every time, and I can't tell if the decisions that those people have made. I get that they have poured their life into making these shows happen.
Sure.
I can't tell them if that's the right or wrong decision to allow someone to keep it going. In my heart of hearts, I want to say that it's better to keep it going than to just step away completely.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's wrong of me.
Well, here's the thing: you kept saying no, 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 and I don't know if we're at liberty to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it anyway because you already said the S word.
Which one's the S one?
You said shit.
Oh yeah, I did. Because I was serious.
Yeah. So now, Brick World Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's happening.
Somebody
finally said yes.
That's very true.
Here's the keys to the ride.
There it is. It's great. Thank you. It's a great example of it finally happening.
And I think from what I can tell, and I've never been to Chicago or Brick World, to have stopped that show would have really hurt the community.
Yeah, if it had stopped, if it had stopped,
yeah,
it would only have been a matter of time before another show just moved in. It just no doubt.
But I still feel like, Brick World's.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Like it would have been a hard hit tragedy.
Yeah.
And so much so that people would not have allowed it to stay. They'd have been like, nope, this sucks. Maybe a year, maybe 2 years later, someone else would put up a flag because they're like, no, I'm coming in because it hurts too much.
Yeah.
Which is usually what happens is that the people miss it. There's a void that is that grows. And then someone goes, well, I'm going to fix that. Yeah, totally. So, yeah.
Sorry for interrupting and tangenting, but that I felt was necessary.
No, and yeah, I think I'm pretty confident that is always the same reason on why the ones that have stopped have stopped. So, yeah, there's all these shows. I was going to all these shows, doing all these things. But as I mentioned, I inherited the LCP program. And at that time, in like April-ish, the LCPs that year, that's when they decided to do their annual conference. So there is an annual, still to this day, an annual LCP summit / conference / whatever you want to call it, where the LCPs are all invited to get together in one place of the world. It's not always the U.S. It's very rarely the U.S. actually, but they'll all get together and they'll meet with Lego, and usually they'll take that opportunity to say all the things they don't like about the LCP program, and then the people at Lego will all sit there and go, good point, and then change nothing. It's like clockwork, folks. And so
Kevin today.
And so this year of all years, I had inherited the point of contact for this, and I was told, oh, the LCP conference is going to be in Infield this year. Kevin, please plan the whole thing. And I was like, yeah, sure, because why not? I mean, this was like, I was so stressed and just, I mean, I don't want to say I was depressed, but I was very overwhelmed.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, like I said, every day I felt like my responsibilities were doubling every day.
They probably were, man.
And I'm like, great. I was past the point of being upset. I was now like giddy about everything. And so I remember like sitting there going, oh, of course I can plan this conference, because what else am I doing? I mean, that was normal for me to do that kind of stuff. And I had flashbacks of working with Jim, and I used to lovingly make fun of him saying, are you crazy? Because I'd come by the desk and he would say silly things. He'd be like, he would just start laughing and like saying nothing. And I'm like, why are you laughing? He's like, oh, no reason. I'm like, and I'd be like, are you insane? He's like, oh, I hope one day you don't have to deal with the stuff I deal with.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I am now. So I would flashback going, oh, Jim. Oh. So I had to plan this stupid conference. And anybody who's planned any type of conference realized that there's a lot of stupidness. You just have to, everyone's schedules have to be taken into account. Everybody's hotel accommodations have to be taken into account. Transit to and from the airport, to and from the office. All the food has to get planned. Does anyone have any dietary restrictions? We need to make sure that the caterers at Lego know when we're meeting and where and why and how much is it going to cost. and the rooms need to be booked. The projectors need to be like all this just logistical admin nonsense. And I'm sitting there like, I don't got time for this, man. Like,
Right.
This is not something that in any way I feel like is my job, but whatever. So I had to arrange this, and I did it, and it was fine. I didn't really get anything out of it. I mean, it was like a 2.5 day, I think, conference.
Mhm.
I got to meet them all. That was my first time I got to meet Nathan Sawaya. It's the first time I got to meet Sean Kinney. I got to meet, I had met Adam because Adam at the time was co-owner of Brickworld. And so I had met him because he was there all the time.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I saw him again. I got to meet all the LCPs from the European countries, which was kind of neat. Got to meet Robin from Canada and Ryan from Australia. That was cool. But I mean, mostly it was them, rightfully so, taking the stage to share all of their frustrations with the program as a whole and how they thought it could be better. And it was a bunch of Lego executives and stuff. Like, I mean, I'm not kidding you. Like stroking their chins going, I understand. And then nothing changes. And apparently from talking to the LCPs, this is how it had been for multiple years before. And that's how it's going to be forever. So they just kind of do it because it's just a formality you do. You know, you just go and you do the same thing all the time. But I planned it that year. I was very upset. I was very frustrated and overwhelmed. And because Tormid was there, my interim boss was physically in the same country as me, in the same office as me. And he had been, for lack of a better words, neglecting me as a person that reports to him.
Mhm.
I said, I'm going to take this opportunity. I'm going to corner this man and I'm going to tell him how upset I am.
Yeah.
And I did. It got to a point where we were on a break in the middle of the conference where everyone was like, oh, take 5-10 minutes, get yourself, go to the bathroom, get yourself coffee. And he went out and he set his laptop up in the one of the little seating areas and started working. And I said, I don't think so. And so I went straight to him. I beelined to him. And I said, hey, can I talk to you for a couple of minutes? And he's like, of course. And so I sit up there next to him and I printed out kind of a very brief snapshot of some of my things that I had inherited, my new job tasks. Because the way he operates is unless you can say whatever you want to say to this person, but unless you have concrete evidence, he throws all of it out the window.
Okay.
That's just how he's always been. He still is that way.
That's got
And so I was like, well, let me type. So, I mean, this was very rudimentary. I just we're opened up Word. It's like, I'm doing this now. I'm doing that now. And I said, hey, so my job has dramatically changed over the last couple of months. I don't know if you know that because you don't ever talk to me, but it's a little overwhelming. And here's a lot of the things I'm doing now. And I don't have any help. I kind of also want to check in to see, are we backfilling that role? Hey, remember that role you said we might be backfilling? And again, he was a very, nonchalant, like not really answering it. I used to say like, it's kind of like a duck getting water on its back. You just like do a little dance and then shimmy right off the feathers. And you're like, whoa, what happened? Did you even get wet? It was amazing. He has an uncanny skill of doing that.
Nice.
And so he answered it to the point where I felt like it had been answered, but it really wasn't answered at all. I was like, oh, okay. And then like 10 minutes later, I'm like, wait a minute, that wasn't an answer.
Wait a minute.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that's what would happen.
Yes.
But so he was like, oh yeah, whatever about the backfill. And then, and I asked him, I said straight up, I go, Tormid, I'm deeply concerned about the community and this region of the world. I think it is a poor business decision for you to think that I can accommodate all of this myself. I think if anything were to happen to me, and I said this to him, I said, if I go outside and get hit by a truck, you've got nobody for half the world. Do you understand that? I said, Kim and Yan have a support system. Something happens to one, they have the other. Me and Jim used to have a support system. And don't get me started on, do I even think 2 people is enough? Because I don't, but whatever. But there's a support system. I don't have that here. And he just looked me straight in the eye. I mean, it was amazing. This is, whatever, a 50-year-old man looking at this 27-year-old. And he's like, well, you'll just have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that was the most, again, I'll use it again, the most shitty answer to tell me.
Yeah.
I mean, I sat there, I think I just melted into the seat. And I was like, everything through my head ran. I was like, what a shitty leader.
Yeah.
What a shitty thing to say to someone who's clearly drowning. And they're waving their hands, asking for help, and that's what you tell them.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just so deflated.
Yeah. Your ears were burning, your head was ringing.
And I'm just like, wow. And of course, the other thing, it makes you question how you're doing your job. Like, okay, well, maybe he's right. Maybe I'm not doing the things I need to be doing. Maybe I'm not managing my time right. Maybe I'm not prioritizing correctly. Maybe, you start. And again, I have the benefit now of reflection and experience and going through all this. Was I doing it all wrong? Nope. Was I making the wrong decisions? Nope. I was doing exactly what I needed to be doing. The fault was not mine. And I even, I had the benefit of the doubt. Lego on the corporate level offers like training and classes you can take like internally. And they'll be like, oh, learn how to use Microsoft Office. We have a class you can take. A lot of them were free, but some of them cost money. Like internally, again, there's a whole internal money system.
Yeah.
Like your budget, your department needs to pay this much and your employee can take this seminar. But they had classes they offered, which I thought was neat. I took them all. I took all of them. I said, let me take the time management class to see if I can learn how to better manage my time. I said, let me take the Microsoft Outlook class so I can see if I can get better at managing my email and how my calendar works and how do I schedule my time.
Yeah.
I took classes on everything because he put in my head that I wasn't doing my job right. And I was like, I really don't think I'm not, but okay. And so I did all of that. And did it help me? Sure. Like I got like to be a master at Microsoft Excel and Office and PowerPoint and know where all the quick keys are all the time. I didn't have to waste time trying to figure out how to put the presentation together. Right. I got really good at using my Outlook and how to schedule meetings and how to get to the point in an email and just have crisp, clean subject lines and no more than 3 sentences per email because email is all about getting your point across as soon as you can. I did all that stuff. Did it help me? No, it didn't. Like I shaved off seconds on the minute. You know what I mean? Like I'm sitting there going, this is not helping me. But I mean, that was the moment. Like a lot of people have asked me over the years, when I say people, I'm talking like friends and family and like inner circle, not community members. Right. But people have asked me like, when did you know like that it was kind of on the downslide? Like your career at Lego is now on the decline. And I've always told him, I said the meeting I had with Tormid in April when I said I need help, and he told me that it was my fault was the moment it went down. Like that, it couldn't get it. Like that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
And it really like it sticks with me today. If I mean by any chance he's actually watching this, if I could say anything to him, it's really was that was a genuinely poor performance as a leader. It was you had an employee who was there with written evidence that they needed help, and you chose to ignore them and put the blame on them.
So what I need everyone to do right now is go ahead and cut this section of that out where he was talking directly to Tormund, and go ahead and email it to Tormund.
Yeah, that'll do great. Probably don't do that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Tormund doesn't care.
Right. It's just like that was. I mean, really, that was the moment that like Kevin's Lego soul died. Yeah. Like I was just like, wow. Like the amount of frustration and, like I said, sadness and overwhelmedness, and then now to just coat it all with self-doubt. Like let's just put some whipped cream on that wonderful dessert we've made, making you now doubt your own performance and your own like methods of handling this.
That's the worst.
It just like that was it. And this is of course during this LCP summit. Like 3 hours later, we had to take like a group photograph with all the LCPs, and it's like I'm just sitting there like, that was it. That was the moment it all went down from that moment. And again, this is still only in 2012.
I was about to say, man.
2012 was a rough year for me. It was a very rough year. I didn't know how Jim's departure was going to affect me from a workload standpoint. I learned. And like I said, I still talk to Jim today. And I remember that I talked to him a lot around that time. And he actually did a lot to try to help me as best he could. But I also was very cognizant that he shouldn't have to be working anymore on this. It's not his job.
Yeah.
But he was still like a friend now. And he would offer me advice. And one thing that he always said to me almost every time we spoke is that he was sorry. Almost every time.
Oh.
He was like, he goes, I'm sorry. I would never mean for you to have to inherit all this by yourself. And I would always be like, dude, it's not your fault. like it's not your fault. But I was still doing all of that. And we ended up, Tormod was my interim boss for one entire year, if not a year and a half. They never backfilled that role. As I told you, that role went to a different person. Like not the role, the slot.
Right.
Like that FTE slot went to another person. They did not end up giving me any help, really. It was just like, he's fine. He'll deal with it. And I did. And maybe if there's any fault to be had, maybe my fault is that I did deal with it and show them that one human could do it.
Yeah.
Like I there was a lot of times where I had some reflection going, maybe I'm doing myself a disservice by keeping the ship afloat.
Sure.
Like maybe I should start letting things slip through the cracks.
Now, I'll say this, though. Had you done that, they would have just replaced you.
Yeah, I mean, there would have been some, like, I would probably not win. But like, I thought about it all the time. I was like, am I not doing this correctly? Because I was sitting there just flabbergasted that people elsewhere in the company could be like, I'm busy, I need help. Poof, they've got 2 interns.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you do? Like, you just might, I'm like, what? I was like constantly like, I was just, like I said, flabbergasted. I'm like, I could sit there. Like, I felt like sometimes you could see the sweat on my brow, on my desk. And I'm sitting there like, okay, I got to book my travel for Chicago next week, but I got the LCP summit right now. I've got 75 unread emails in my inbox. I need to respond to all of them, but I got a meeting in 30 minutes. I'm like, how do you focus? Yeah. And like, how do you sit there and you, who's doing whatever else job, can just say, excuse me, boss, I'm a little overwhelmed. Oh, are you? Poof, associate manager to help them. Like, I'm like, I was just like, what? Like, I was constantly befuddled at how other people could get help all the time. And I want to say that in the department, the community department continued to grow every single year. So every year the department was hiring 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. I think the department at this point maybe is 25 people. Wow. And the thing is that the people were always being allocated to stuff that I, in my personal opinion, didn't think it needed. Sure. And so like, we've hired 2 new people on, and now, Lego Rebrick has a team of 6. And it's like, it's one website. Why do you need so many people? Or like, now the Lego Ideas team has 8 people on it. It's like, it's a site. I don't understand. Like, I understand that it's popular and that you need someone to help moderate content. And I know that you need to help. Maybe somebody needs to represent internally, but isn't that enough? Like, don't you need like 1% on the outside, 1% on the inside? Done. Website runs itself. But yeah, that's just my naive understanding. Yeah. And I was just like, I constantly felt like that whole year, 2012 and 2013, I was just constantly drowning. And that was what I was often saying to my colleagues. How are things going? I'm like, I'm just drowning every day is what I would constantly tell people. Like, I'm just drowning every day. And it was just so impossible to keep up with all of it. But I did. And one of the things, actually, not to get terribly religious, everybody, but one of the things that I also brought or thought about was something I had heard at church. So I'm a churchgoer. I go every Sunday. And at this time, I remember this. I vividly remember this. I remember sitting there going, I get so many emails and so many fans are asking me like genuine questions, or they need help, or they want someone at the company to answer their whatever. I literally don't have enough time in the day to answer them all and still do all the other things I need to do. But nobody else will. Maybe I should just start ignoring some of them. And that, whatever it was, that week, of course, because this is how God works, everybody.
Yeah, yes.
I was in mass, and that was when the homily that day was this beautiful story. And it's not like, it was a story I've heard other people have said it. It's not like an original story, but a story about the little boy on the beach who's walking and throwing starfish into the ocean. I don't know if you've heard this story before.
I don't think I have.
So there's a little boy, and he's on the beach, and he's walking, and he sees starfish that are on the sand, picks them up, throws them in the water, and does it every single day. Every day takes a little stroll, finds all the starfish, throws them back in the ocean. And one day the other little boy is like, "What are you doing? Why are you throwing all those starfish back into the water?" And the first boy is like, "Well, because they would die if they weren't in the water." And so the kid who's asking is like, "Well, you can't possibly save every starfish on the beach." And the first kid goes, "Maybe not, but I at least saved the ones that I came across today." And I'm sitting there going, I remember sitting in the office, sitting at my keyboard, thinking in my head, do I really need to respond to all these people? And I'm like, damn it. Like, I remember sitting there going, I need to answer all these people. Yeah. Because if I don't do it, nobody will do it.
That's right.
And then everything.
Die. No.
Well, I'm not gonna die.
Right.
But I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you know, and I'm not like, don't get me wrong, I'm not thinking of this as representing me. Yeah. Never. This was always like, I am representing a brand and a company, and I need to keep that in mind. And I always kept that in mind. Sure. And I'm like, if the Lego company neglects to answer this, that will look bad. If the Lego company ignores this email, that will look bad. So I was like, do I need to answer these? I do, because that's making a difference to that customer. That's making a difference to that consumer. That's making a difference to that fan. Sure. And so I did. I never ignored emails. I never did. Up to the day I was gone. If I got an email, I answered it. Did it mean I answered it within a day? Not always. Sometimes it would take me weeks to get back because I just had that many messages. Sure. Even on personal, like if people reach out to me personally, which I would get all the time. Like I would get like a Flickr mail or a message on YouTube of all places. And it'd be like, excuse me, Mr. Hinkle, I have a question about blah, blah, blah. It was all totally work related. I would even reply there, even though it's my personal social media account. And I would say, hey, just so you know, I always did the same thing. I said, this is my personal social media account. I don't answer work related questions here, but if you want to contact me, here's my work email. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Always. I never neglected to respond. And a lot of people now are feeling the effects of someone that doesn't respond. Because a lot of these people that I've been working with over the years, not to get too far ahead of ourselves. Right. Nice spoiler alert. I'm not a Lego anymore. People hit me up all the time saying, Kevin, I've been asking so-and-so or customer service or whatever questions for weeks and nobody answers me. Do you have any advice? And I'm like, what advice would I have for you now? Like, I don't know what to tell you. Right. I still get those things because people are not used to not getting a response at Lego. And now a lot of people don't get responses at Lego. So it's just, it is what it is.
Keep it up, Lego.
But back then, just so you guys know where my mind was, that's where I was. I was like, I need to keep this up because this is important to the brand. Yeah. This is important for the company. And this is my job. Yep. And even though my leadership, again, these are the important things that I need people to understand, not because I want to paint things in an evil light, right? But it's the truth. but it's the truth. Yes, is that I'm sitting here going, I don't have enough time in the day to answer these questions from fans. Leadership of that department is telling me just ignore them. Yeah. Like, you need to understand the leadership of that department is saying that. Like, something's not so good, folks. No. But that's where I was. It wasn't great, but I was still doing what I needed to do. The positives, right? Because there has to be positives.
Gotta be.
The positives in that time, I really did start to flourish in the role. So I was really starting to take ownership of the role, and like people were coming to me. Kevin was the fan guy. He knew, like, he was able to tell you what was going on in a fan's mind for a certain thing, and I was usually right. I was in a lot of meetings, more meetings than I could ever imagine, because I was now representing the infield office essentially. for the community department, I had to take a lot of Skype meetings with Denmark. So also for the record, my meetings were getting earlier and earlier and earlier in the day because Denmark does not like to meet past 4 o'clock their time. So that means the Americans need to come in earlier. So I had a lot of days where my meetings would start at 7 in the morning or 6 in the morning, and no was not an acceptable answer. So, and it was great because, usually the answer is like, well, if it's such a bother, you can just do it from home. And I'm like, that's not going to work. I can't do it from home. I've got a house full of kids and it's not going to happen. So if I need to do it, I guess I'm going to work at 6 in the morning. So that was happening. But I was also getting a lot more integrated as like the one community rep with the wider Billund, not just community Billund, but like product Billund and like product design. And I mean, that was kind of amazing. I was getting fully integrated as like this spokesperson for the community for the Americas. I was the Americas, which was kind of neat, right? That's cool. I represent the Americas. And I still met a lot of incredible people. I mean, the community is incredible what they do. And all the people I met and worked out a lot of great things with lugs and helped lugs in a lot of different situations. Believe me, there has not been any form of drama or politics or shady practices in a lug that I have not heard before. I have heard it all. I've heard everything. I've heard all of it. And that's fine. I was there to listen. And so, but I was doing that, at this time now in infield, there's 3 of us, cause there's me and then, my colleague Sarah, who still works at Lego. So she's still there. She used to do rebrick. She doesn't do rebrick anymore. I have honestly no clue what she does anymore, but she's still there. And then Tim was there up until fairly recently. He is no longer with Lego anymore. I think there's two or 3 people in there. There might be 5 people there now. There is no community manager. Again, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. There's no community manager for the Americas right now. None.
I know.
There is nobody.
I'm aware.
But surprisingly, there's like 5 representatives of the community department in infield. So you guys figure that out. But there's no community manager.
But doesn't Tormund come to Brick World Chicago every year?
He has for the last 2 years in a row, which has been interesting.
I dare you, Tormund.
It is very interesting. It's very, very
Tormund, do come on next year.
Yeah. I will say again, I try not to like just conflate a whole year together, but it kind of is like a little bit of a blur for me that year. But at the end of 2012, after I had like basically died all year, and had voiced my frustrations and concerns and all that, I was rewarded. I guess that's the right word. I was rewarded at the end of the year with a promotion.
Hey!
So I was promoted from North American Community Coordinator, which I laughed at because now for the whole year I've been also running South America.
Right.
But I was the North America Community Coordinator. At the end of 2012, I was promoted to Senior Community Coordinator.
Yay.
So in the hierarchy, in the Lego hierarchy of titles, that's still not a manager. So I'm still like, I'm in the store equivalent. I was basically promoted from an associate to a supervisor. Like that's what I was. And I was like, all right, did I get more money? Yeah. That's fine. But it was like, I mean, I took the victory, right? Well, I'm not, I deny this promotion.
You got to take the win when you can.
I took it, but I was still like, I feel like this is such a hollow. I remember going, I would gladly trade this in if you just hired someone to help me.
Yeah.
I remember saying that. Not to somebody, but out loud. I remember going, man, I would trade this in if you could just hire someone to help me. And at the end of that year, where I think I'm going to end for today, at the end of that year when we started getting into like the 2013, now I'm a senior community coordinator. They finally decided to backfill Jim's role.
Oh.
But not in infield.
Oh.
In Billund.
Oh.
because if I could get any help in the Americas, which I'm drowning and running half the world, and Yan and Kim are sharing responsibilities for the rest of the world, the help surely needs to go to them, right?
Oh, obviously.
Surely. So to leave us on a little bit of tidbit to keep you wanting more, know that role was being backfilled now. It had been posted. They were hiring for it, but it was going to be based in Billund. They did lie to me and said that there was a chance it could be based in Enfield. That was a lie.
I do love those.
I love them too. It was never going to be an infield, but because I was a little squeaky and I said, I feel kind of betrayed that you guys are putting this in Billund when I've been complaining for the last year and a half that I haven't had any help in the Americas. I felt a little betrayed. And so they said, oh, well, there's a chance it could be an infield. There was never a chance it was going to be an infield. But whatever. Yeah. We live though, guys. So I want to say when we start next time, 2013 now.
Oh my!
So I don't know if we're speeding up, but
I feel like we're going at a good clip. I'm sure that there's going to be a show that's coming up that we're going to have to do a special for.
Right. Well, we do. I've been taking notes as we've been going. There are a couple topics that are dedicated to episodes in the future, which will take breaks from the story. But everybody, ya boy, Mr. Kevin Hinkle is currently a senior community coordinator in the year of 2013 in Enfield, still running the Americas as a one-man show.
Nice.
By myself, by my lonesome.
Oh, it.
And I appreciate you guys listening to me ramble on about this stuff. As I've said, it's actually been a while since I've said this, but I used to say it all the time. The point of all of this is for me, honestly, it's not to sit here and go, look how terrible Lego is, because that's not what I'm trying to do.
That's my job.
That Julian, apparently that's very interesting to him. I am just telling my story, and where I felt that the truth needs to be told is important. Yep. I don't have any agenda. I'm just saying what happened and what has.
It is actually truly it is. Stir the pot, the agenda. That's my agenda.
That's the stir the pot agenda. So yeah, I'm not. Even in light of everything that's happened to me, I still feel justified in my criticisms. I think these are fair criticisms of anybody. They could have done better. And with that, everybody, that's Julian.
That's Kevin. Remember, y'all, you got to sort those bricks.
Bye.